Hi guys, Dan here. Just looking to take a quick stroll through some of the current 9.1.5 PTR development notes. A few things as of literally last night were added, which has just amazed the entire WoW community and has certainly got me very excited, so let's get straight into this one. First things first, we have the things that we've already seen and talked about, the new character customization options for the Nightborn, Lightfish, Draenei and Void Elves. Fantastic work. I'm sure there is a section of the community that has been asking for this for a little while. The dungeon quests for unlocking Kultiran humans, Mechanomes and Dark Iron Dwarves are no longer required. This is a very good change because it can certainly be a little bit too time consuming to get those unlocked at this point, and given that they were in the previous expansion, it should be made a little bit easier at this point, absolutely. Added weather effects in Stormwind and Orgrimmar. I'm sure I look forward to seeing those when I return to Orgrimmar when Shadowlands is over, but Oribos is my home now, so I'll see those next expansion. Now, getting on to the really juicy stuff, all cooldowns of 2 minutes or longer now reset at the end of raid encounters, or when starting a Mythic Plus dungeon. This was previously 3 minutes or longer cooldowns, and of course it doesn't apply to Shaman's Reincarnation or Ankh, or a Warlock's Ritual of Doom. Not that you ever really see a Warlock's Ritual of Doom ever used, but really good change, really underrated change. It means that you, in particular, if you do have, say, a ninja pull and make the decision to reset the boss, and there are a few DPS heroes who have just popped all their cooldowns and have thought, we're starting, we're going in, we're going ham. At least now we don't have to wait for those combustions. Now, even better, and this is finally what has just blown the mind of every single person. If you've been on Twitter at any point over the last, let's say, 24 hours or so, you will have seen a lot of this. The following area of effect abilities are no longer maximum target capped and instead deal reduced damage beyond 5 targets. Just when we thought it couldn't get any better from covenant swapping and freedom of conduit changes and the removal of conduit energy, they now go and do this. Clearly Blizzard are looking to really try and get back into the players' good books. There have been a lot of complaints about Shadowlands so far, but they are working hard, and although we can sit here and argue that this probably shouldn't have been in at all, or should have been certainly removed as of, let's say, beta, it is nice to see that they are doing it earlier and we don't have to wait all the way until 9.3, and we are actually getting this in the upcoming patch. It's really good. Looking through some of the abilities specifically through this, a lot of them do make sense. There are some exclusions on here. For example, I know that a lot of rogues are a bit unhappy that, let's say, Blade Flurry is not on here for now, and things like that. But one thing that I will mention is that this is the first iteration of this quote-unquote uncapping of AoE, so I do think that there could be maybe a little bit more added, or maybe even some abilities taken away. So I don't think this is finished yet by any means, and they have left out some very good examples like Spinning Crane Kick for Windwalker, because everyone knows how strong they are in AoE already, and that's still with Spinning Crane Kick having its target cap as it is right now. For me personally, things that I'm really looking forward to, all of these right here, absolutely wonderful. Just Bladestorm being uncapped or soft capped finally, it's how it should have been from the start, but I won't go too much into this right now. Something else that's actually worth looking at here is, you'll remember in the sort of preamble to the development notes that was put out a few days or a week ago, they mentioned specifically that they were going to be buffing a lot of class abilities and talents, and I did always wonder at the time whether that would be with the caveat of nerfing some others as well, and they just didn't want to mention that as a possibility. But I've had a look through I've basically had a little scroll through this already before starting the recording, and honestly, across the board, it really does look like they are only looking to buff abilities and talents. It's such a unique mindset from Blizzard at this point, because you'll regularly find that whenever Blizzard has come to actually do some class balancing, it's always been buffs and nerfs paired together in most cases. But I love this idea of trying to bring up all the abilities or talents that are just not seeing play or are just severely undertuned, and it is definitely the way to go. That's not to say that we won't see some nerfs at some point, but I think if we do see that, there is the possibility that they may wait until 9.2 for that to come around, so as not to mess with anything inside the current raid tier, inside Sanctum. Or maybe we'll see some hotfixes for some ability or talent nerfs maybe a bit later down the line, once we're sort of in the middle of that 9.15 and 9.2 sort of bridge. But really, really good to see that they are just looking at making things stronger rather than trying to make things weaker to try and balance things out. This is absolutely wonderful to see, and I am looking forward to a lot of this. The Covenants we know about already, of course, for those of you that may have missed it. I doubt anyone has, but Covenants you can now, with a high renown threshold, which hasn't been specified yet. A lot of people are assuming it's going to be Renown 80. Even if it is Renown 80, I do want to mention that we're not likely to see 9.1.5 released for maybe about a month. And if it is about a month, 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks, that's another 6 to 8 Renown that you'll be looking at. We're at 66 already, so you won't be too far off max Renown. Maybe by the time we see 9.15, it certainly depends on how quick the PTR cycle goes and whether there's too many more changes that they want to make. But of course, now with a high renown threshold, you can now freely switch among any of the 4 Covenants without cooldown or restriction. This is going to make the next race to World First absolutely fantastic. There are some classes that would have killed for this to be in from the very beginning. Mages is a very good example for one. They would have taken full advantage of this in Sanctum, absolutely. But what a brilliant change. It's just a brilliant change for everyone involved. There is, in no way is this negative. No one has ever tried to imply that it is going to be negative for anyone in any way, shape or form. The freedom to be able to play our character, you know, rather than, you know, playing our class and very particular spec because we don't have the conduit energy and we can't swap our Covenant, or don't want to swap our Covenant because it'll take too much time to actually farm out everything we need, like Renown. But something that I am interested to see, and something that I've theorized about, is that because it's specifically going to require a high Renown threshold, maybe we'll see Renown shift from a Covenant-specific thing to more of a character-wide thing. So, rather than having, say, 66 Renown with Kyrian or whoever you're with right now, when this comes in, it'll just be 66 Renown on you as a character, which I think it would make sense at this point, but it does mean that you wouldn't have to then farm Renown for individual Covenants, which I think would be a great idea. It's not confirmed that that's the way it would work, but in my mind, I think that would be the best way for it to work at this point. Conduit energy being removed, of course, absolutely fantastic. Hopefully, this will allow us to swap conduits with tomes rather than having to go back to the Covenant Sanctum. That would be another really good change. It hasn't been specified anywhere yet, but it does say that conduits will be freely swappable without any restrictions. So I'm assuming either with a tome, with a codex, or it'll just allow you to swap them anytime you're out of combat and anywhere in the world. Any of those would be absolutely fine. If we have to consume tomes for it, we already have to do that with talents. It would be widely accepted across the player base without any issue, I can guarantee it. The Shadowlands and Korthia campaign can now obviously be skipped on your alts, which is brilliant. Don't want to have to do that 7,000 times on multiple characters for multiple Covenants. It's really starting to grind at this point, but that's another obviously fantastic change. The rest of it we already know about here. Now, looking towards Legion Time Walking. Of course, in the previous notes it was specified that Legion Time Walking was also going to feature Mythic Plus. We didn't know how much Mythic Plus it was going to feature or how exactly it would work. They have expanded on it a little bit now. So this event will run for 2 weeks the first time it runs within the game, and then we'll resume a regular 1-week schedule for subsequent bonus events. I do like this, the fact that it'll go for 2 weeks at the very beginning, because this is going to be incredibly popular, and people will want to obviously get in on it for as long as possible. Everyone, or a lot of people that are looking forward to this, will be sad when it does come to an end, but I think that if they kept it in for longer than a set period of time, 1 week or 2 weeks or however long, you're effectively just going to be playing Legion again. And I can definitely understand that obviously it needs to stay within the confines of Time Walking and needs to be just a special event that runs for a set amount of time, but it does mean that there'll be a good span of 2 weeks where it'll be incredibly popular, and I'm certainly looking forward to having some fun. They have also specified the dungeons that are coming back for time walking, so we've got Blackrook Hold, Eye of Ashara, Darkheart Thicket, Vault of the Wardens, Neltharian's Lair, and Court of Stars. Some notable exceptions here are obviously the Archway's not here, Maw of Souls is not here, which is quite a notable exception. Whether they will ever look to expand on this at all, I don't know. Something tells me that they probably won't. But you never know. You never know. It's a good selection of 6 dungeons to put in to begin with. So again, looking forward to this one, absolutely. And of course, yes, the Time-Worn Keystones, which is how you're going to be doing your Legion Mythic Plus in the Time Walking week. While Legion Time Walking is active, players can speak to Tussup in Oribos to acquire a Time-Worn Keystone, allowing access to max level Mythic Plus difficulty for the 6 Legion dungeons. Legion Mythic Plus dungeons accessed in this way have their own set of affixes. This will be quite interesting. It'll be interesting to see if they bring back any of the old affixes. For example, let's say Overflowing. That would be quite neat if they did bring that back. Reward loot of the same item level as Shadowlands Mythic Plus dungeons, and count toward weekly Great Vault reward options. Items acquired from Legion Mythic Plus dungeons can be upgraded with Valor points, but will not appear in the Great Vault. Another thing, I did not expect them to put this in. I didn't expect that. I thought they would just put in Legion M Plus and just say, here you go, here's some Legion M Plus. At the very end of it, maybe you get some anima in some weird way, and you know, you can be on your merry way, and you can push keys in Legion M Plus. I didn't expect them to actually have relevant gear dropping and be upgradable from these dungeons, but already I've been looking through the dungeon journal from all of these dungeons and thinking, right, where am I going to be farming? What's the gear that I really want? Court of Stars is well within my sights. That auto attack ring, that's mine. That's mine first day. If you've got any Court of Stars keys, you bring them to me. Legacy loot rules are now in place for Battle for Azeroth raids and dungeons. These encounters will now drop a fixed quantity of class-agnostic loot regardless of your group size. Yep, transmog farmers, rejoice, you can now get all of your heart's desires from Battle for Azeroth raids and dungeons. The prompt to enter into the Time Walking campaign random dungeon queue for all expansions will now occur after 5 minutes in the queue was 15 minutes. Not entirely sure what that's referring to at this point, but I'm sure it's a great change, just like everything else has been so far. The island expeditions and warfronts we've already seen as well, and I believe that is the majority of the stuff that's new in the upcoming patch. All in all, just hit after hit after hit. In 9.1.5, it seems like everyone will remember the 7.2.5 patch from Legion, where several changes were added, and it just suddenly made the game just so much better. This seems very reminiscent of that. There are yes, there are fixes to a lot of problems that have been in from the start of this expansion that were already disliked, but at least we're getting the changes sooner. At least we're getting the changes sooner than, let's say, another year's time, or another 6 months' time, or another 8-9 months' time, whenever the next major content patch might be out. We can always sit here and hope that maybe it won't be like this again in the future. It has been what would now be 3 expansions of this, but I'm just happy that they are actually taking a lot of this on board and actively looking to go forward with it and make the changes that are needed. One other thing that I'm very happy about is just the clear communication that we've been having since the 9.1.5 preamble notes were basically brought up. The devs have been very, very clear and very, very concise with why they made the changes to begin with, admitting that they were wrong if they think they're wrong, and then making the changes to try and make the player base happy. It is good. It is good that we're getting that clear-cut communication again, and it's something that I think we've missed and something that we shouldn't take for granted. So, while I understand that it may be a frustrating time for some people because they're thinking, why weren't these changes done sooner and why didn't they listen to begin with? Take it with a pinch of salt. At least we're getting it now, and at least we're getting the communication. You can't say that any of these changes are bad. All these changes that I'm seeing right now really excite me for 915, and yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. It'll be absolutely fantastic. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I've been Dan, and I will see you in the next video.